Alrighty, here we are again for another Facebook Live, and today we have a really good chat lined up because I've got Hayley and Andrew from Brisbane who have been going absolutely nuts with the flips over the last 3 years. So they've been pretty much full time the last few years. They've done, I think they're up to deal 18 since beginning of January. So welcome, guys. Obviously, I think there's going to be quite a few people in Queensland who are going to be pretty happy to see this. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thanks for giving me some of your time.
No problem at all.
All right. So firstly, fun fact, I thought it was pretty interesting that you guys grew up on the same street but didn't know each other, as kids, and then you obviously met at the pub in your 20s. That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, late 20s, yeah. So
years later,
yeah, we moved out of home. We weren't living in different suburbs.
Yeah,
cool. So yeah,
it would be pretty weird, obviously having the family homes, so close. Yeah, really weird. But anyway, cool story. And that was in Sydney, and you obviously got married and then obviously moved to Brizzy. Is that right?
Yeah, we moved up here and then got married up here.
Okay.
Got engaged when we first moved up here, got married up here, and staying put.
Back in 2004 we moved up, so
yeah, we've been here a while now.
Cool, 20 years. All right, awesome. All right, so I'm sure what everyone is probably first question everyone wants to know is how did you guys get into property flipping? I know it's quite weird because your story is, in the sense of what you've done in the last few years is very similar to mine because you pretty much got started around it at the same time I did. And, you've just gone like hell for leather, but I've been doing it in Perth and you've been doing it in Brisbane. So I always get a lot of people say to me, how have you done so many flips so quickly? So I'm sure that's a question you guys must get from a lot of people is how have you sort of ramped it up so quickly? But to start with, how did you get into? Obviously, I know you would have done a program, you would have got mentoring and all that sort of stuff. But why? Were you already sort of active in the property space? Were you already doing other sorts of investing in property? Like, how did it all start for you guys?
So we started with the typical buy and hold. I think we had 3 investment properties. I was probably super keen to get into property development. We did a small development with family. That didn't go as well as we would have liked, and I decided I wanted to do something, continue down the path of going to catch ups and meetups and things like that. And then we eventually bumped into the guy who was our mentor. Came on board, and our pure aim was just to do property development. Wanted to, 3,000 square meter blocks or whatever, split them up and sell the land. Because I didn't believe there was money to be made flipping properties. I think my term was I thought it was bullshit. Until some people in the group we then joined were actually doing it, and I saw the numbers, and we tried to do the development. We just couldn't get any traction and straight up on a builder. So we went, what, it sort of makes sense that maybe get the flipping and go. We happen to live in an area where there's a lot of houses that can do with renovating, which always helps. So, just evolved that way.
Yeah, awesome. And so you guys have pretty much stuck to the same area. Like I know you said North Brisbane, is that right? Has it all been sort of in the same location?
Yeah, so we're probably across 4 or 5 postcodes. You always get the temptation to stray further away, but we find if you can keep it within those postcodes, it's closer to home, which makes it a lot easier. But also becoming an expert in the area once you start to go 15, 20 k's from home, it can be done, of course, but it just brings that layer of complexity into it. When an agent brings you a property in an area you know nothing about, you got to then spend the next 2 hours working out, is that a good buy and what's it worth? Whereas if you know your area, you can sum it up pretty quickly and just makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, 100%. I speak a lot about being an area expert, and you're right, because if you don't know the values in there, it's hard to know straight away if it's a good buy. It doesn't matter how good you are, in property and how much you know. There's just too many suburbs, in a city to know everything.
Absolutely.
So, how did you guys actually choose your farming area when you started? Like, obviously, was it just that it was close to home? Was it, just because you mentioned there was a lot of houses that needed renovating in the area? Like, what sort of, what era are most of the houses, as well that you're sort of renovating in that area?
Yeah, so the 70s, this area was probably developed in the 70s, or a little bit earlier, but there's some older houses than that, but predominantly, your late 60s, 70s. would be in the postcodes around. Obviously, up to modern, there's a few newer developments out here as well. So what we can call in Queensland would be post-war to a bit more modern than that. There's certainly nothing that was the old Queenslanders really around. And the reason we picked this area was basically our mentor at the time said, look, the easiest way to do it is close to home. As long as it's within your budget, of course, is close to home. You can get to opens easier on the weekend and all the stuff you got to do. You're not driving out of sight. All the homework you need to do on working out what properties are worth. It's just easier when you're within 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. And so talk to me about like the actual the area itself, like the suburbs that you're flipping. And has there been a bit of growth in there? I'm assuming that there would have been a bit of growth in there over the last few years, especially during COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, COVID, obviously, I think the whole country went nuts. It was huge. It's probably still moving along now, but it's still a strong market. But I don't think it's anything like you guys are seeing over there. I just think certainly the bottom end of the market's really going, like if people are all over it. But once you go up a little bit in price, it's getting a bit tougher.
Yeah, okay. So is your area not
much.
like your area is not lower end, it's more sort of middle market? Like what sort of price range are you sort of buying and then selling for at the moment?
So to buy into our area, if you're just buying on market and you're paying the normal price everyone else is paying, you have to spend in the sixes to get in. And of course, there's waterfront property around here, so it goes up to $4.5, $5 million for a house around where we are. But typically, yeah, the 600-700 is where you buy. Of course, we're trying to buy cheaper than that to make it work. And then some of the suburbs we go out to are a bit cheaper again. You might be down. You can probably pick up properties there in the fives just on market. Of course, that doesn't work with what we do, but that's the sort of prices that the areas we're in.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. Cool. All right. And then what would you be selling those sorts of properties for? Like what are they, once they're renovated, what are they sort of achieving?
Around the high sevens, 8 normally. That's where some of the suburbs a bit further out into the sevens, you're trying to buy late fours and you're trying to sell early mid sevens.
Yeah.
Depending on the size reno you're doing and everything.
All right. Awesome. Cool. All right. So let's go back to the start then. Let's talk about your very first deal and how you found your first deal. So obviously there's a lot of people watching and they are, very keen to get into this space and, leave their day job and, flip houses full time like we do. So, you guys talk to me about, I mean, you said you did your first deal in January 2021. Talk to me about how that deal came about and let's talk about that one.
So that one came about, I'd already finished full-time work. Andrew was still working full-time. So I've been ringing agents and an agent brought it to us and said, have a look at this one. And within a couple of hours, Andrew, it was vacant. So we were able to go and do a walk around the outside. And Andrew was walking around the outside. We came to him within a few hours with an offer and had it under contract that evening. So we were able to act quickly. The agent was laughing about it because he said there was someone else he had told about it and they rang him back that evening saying, yeah, I want to get through it tomorrow. Can I get through? And he went, it's under contract. And they're like, you're kidding. No one buys that quickly. And he said, well, yeah, these people have. And so we were definitely motivated to find something. We'd looked at lots of properties, put in plenty of offers, and then numbers didn't stack, whereas this one we knew it stacked. It needed, new kitchen, new bathroom, stuff that we knew we could take on. And, signed the contract that night.
Yeah, cool. All right, so that was your first deal. Now, from the time that you at that stage, how did you guys feel like area experts? Were you really confident on your feet? Nah.
We probably were more than we thought we were.
Yeah.
We looked at plenty of houses, but look, obviously for us, the first one was definitely the nerve-wracking time. There's always nerves around what you do, but the first one definitely didn't have our trades all lined up properly as well as we could have and things like that. So
we were getting lots of trades there to quote before we were unconditional because we were like, oh, we're really not sure. We just don't know. Yeah. And it was mid-January 2021, so people were still coming back to work. It was hard to get trades there. and we just weren't sure, but we got the quotes and did the numbers and redid the numbers numerous times. And I guess from that deal, it definitely built our confidence. There were things we did there, like Andrew helped install the kitchen. We went there and shoveled the rocks to finish off the garden just to get it on the market nice and quick. We never did that again. We decided, no, we are better off spending our time talking to agents and absolutely finding the next properties. We've got trades and people that can do that stuff for us. So
all the grunt work.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Awesome. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I mean, just on the trades, I get a lot of people say, "Oh, it's so hard to get tradespeople and stuff like that." So obviously, I mean, in Brisbane, I'm in Perth, and obviously trades are hard everywhere. It's hard in Perth, yes, but you put in the work, you're going to find them. What's your experience been? Getting tradespeople and building your team in Brisbane.
We had existing relationships with some people, and we had agents that recommended trades, but then we also have trades that went, hey, my mate does this. And so we were able to, and just the fact that we really look after our trades, we do coffee, we do smoko, we get to know them. And I think they like being part of a team, and the feedback from them is, they'll talk to each other and they've got to know the other guys on site. So it works really well. But yeah, there've been times where, someone was sick or whatever and we needed to get another trade. It can be tricky, but we've got the relationships with the guys that then someone always knows someone in our network, which works really well for us.
Yeah, awesome. Do you remember with your first deal, obviously, that did you have any renovation experience at that stage, or you were like sort of first time renovators then, or?
No, we had done, so our rentals that we had, we renovated them before we sold them. So you probably talk more about that. You were there.
Yeah, and we'd renovated our own home, and I was a builder, so I hadn't been on the tools for a long time. But yeah, certainly had dealings with renovations, but not the fast-paced flipping style renos. So that's a whole new world.
So you'd had a fair bit of experience basically, but yeah, you just hadn't really flipped sort of thing. But I mean, coming from a building background, you've definitely got the other knowledge in that area.
Yeah, but it's definitely different flipping than building.
Yeah. I mean, it's just cosmetic, right? Like that's just another point. As far as your, what you guys do. I mean, you've done 18 flips. Have they all been sort of cosmetic? Do you go down the structural route at all or anything like that, or are you just sort of in and out of the deal pretty quickly?
We have done some bigger ones, and we just keep going back and learning our lesson that our best ones are the small ones. You see signs and it's really cheap, and then you get to the end and the budget blows out because they're so big that you just can't control it like a small reno. And you make money, but it's like, what, we'd have made the same money doing the quick paint and cheap bathroom on a little 3-in-1 and rather than doing this behemoth. So we have done some bigger ones, but we're trying to steer away from it.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. I think when you sort of start going like, if you're riding good growth in that higher end market, then obviously you can do really, really well. But the difference between the low end and the hot, more the higher end, I suppose, is also the spec. It's got to be finished to a higher finish, and therefore, you're spending a lot more on, the tapware and the tiles and everything that goes into the home. It's more expensive. So your reno budget doubles, and then so that's and then at the end, your agent's fees are double because the house sells for a lot more. So stamp duty's more. So there's all those other costs that you still got to take into consideration, isn't there?
And it just takes up so much of your time. There's so much more effort around all the little details and decisions, whereas your basic 3-in-1, you can say the voice was the same as the one we just did. Just go and do the same again. Whereas we get the big ones, it's not like that. You're on site half the time, and so we have done them, and we
prefer not to.
prefer the easy clean up ones. Yeah, cool. So do you guys pretty much have like a cookie cutter model then? So you pretty much, like you said, you need it's the same as the last one to your trades. Is it, same flooring, same kitchen, same bathrooms? Is everything the same every time?
Yeah. We've got 2 styles of kitchen that we use, whether we go shaker or gloss. But that's basically the difference. The rest is, same kitchen, same flooring. We have changed it over time. We stage all of our properties before they go to market, because why wouldn't you?
Why would you?
It definitely makes a massive difference. But yeah, and we go quite neutral for that reason, because we want to appeal to the majority. So don't want to make any wild, crazy, out there colours or styles that might, not
offend,
not appeal.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
you go. I was just going to say, with neutral, you're just referring to your whites and greys and stuff like that, and your monuments and stuff like that.
Yep.
The only sort of change we make is in the better suburbs, we'll do floor-to-ceiling tiles in the bathroom and stone bench tops, which obviously that's now going to be an issue.
Changing.
That's changing. But in the cheaper suburbs, we use skirting tiles and Laminex bench tops.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably the only real changes we make.
Have you thought about that? 'Cause I think is it June 30 that the engineered stone goes out? So have you guys thought about what
It is, and we haven't crossed that path yet. The one we're doing at the moment would be a Laminex one anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So we have looked into it. I believe there's another product coming in, but it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah, okay.
So we just wait till we get that next house, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same, to be honest. At the moment, I just put in engineered stone in one of my properties today. So same thing. I'll just wait till he says he can't do it anymore, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do. So cool. All right. So take me back to that first property. So you did your first flip. What learnings or what went wrong in that first flip? So coming from like you said, you obviously had a building background, but you hadn't done, flipping. What learnings did you take away? Did you have any cost blowouts? Did you have any things that, just went wrong? Did you have any trades sort of let you down? Did you, what were the learnings from that very first deal?
Look, I think our first one went pretty well, but geez, we managed it down to the absolute millimetre.
Yeah.
Probably more so than we do. You get a bit relaxed after a while. And we've had issues on other ones, but man, we just micromanaged the thing.
We were there. Yeah, we were there all the time. Andrew was there before work, after work. I guess the learning definitely was, we won't be shoveling stone in the heat. We won't be installing stuff to free us up. I think the other thing was communicating with the trades. That was our first experience of Andrew had set something up for building a front fence and ordered the materials accordingly. And the boys asked me about doing it a different way. And I was like, yeah, that seems all right. But it meant we didn't have enough materials. So just those things about how we communicated and what we communicated with the trades. But generally speaking, yeah, that one went pretty well. There wasn't anything where we were like, whoa. But yeah, it was micromanaged central.
Yeah, cool. I've just had someone here's just asked in the questions, what's your average flip time? And you already sort of mentioned that to me. But yeah, has that varied? You said 9 weeks to me earlier. Or before, is that about right for all of them, or did different?
Yeah,
was
big ones definitely take longer.
Yeah,
like a couple of the bigger ones we've done have gone out to like 3.5 months. Actually, there's one we spent. Actually, it was a really long one. We took 6 months, but we had really cheap investor money, and we just basically floated our crews around as we needed to work on it. Where it was I suggest only one for a builder to take on. We replaced every wall in the house because of termite damage and half the roof trusses. So
it's huge.
Yeah, that was. But we just took our time on it because we were just floating our guys around amongst our other renters. When we had time, we just sent them over there to work on it. So, but we had some family involved, so we had really cheap investor money on it. So that took us like 6 months, but that was one of our best ones.
One of your best profits?
Yeah.
So
cool. So just on that then, so talk to me about what sort of profits you guys and your very first deal, what sort of profit did you make on that, and what's your sort of expectation now as far as how much profit you need to make on a deal?
So our first one we made, I think, 50,000 on.
Yeah.
And those numbers we just would never. Those numbers we just never fly today. Like it's just like you lose money hand over fist on those numbers.
Yeah.
For us, it's 75,000. We pretty much work on after our investors. If we're going to make that, we're pretty keen to get into it. So and that would be based on doing a pretty small a Renault budget. So Renault budget would be about 85,000 on that.
Yeah, okay.
And that wouldn't probably involve doing full kitchens and bathrooms at that Renault price. So it'd be ones we did recently. We were able to spray the bathroom and keep the bath and just put new vanity in, some floor tiles, things like that. The bigger the Renault gets from there, you're looking for more money, obviously, but hasn't
So it
necessarily
sounds to
worked
me
that
like
way.
then, it sounds like that 75 that'd be about the 10% profit
That's
that you're
right,
needing to make.
yeah.
So you're all in at about
Obviously,
750, something like that.
yeah. You're always driving trying to make 15, 20%, but it's how many deals you go past are going to make you 10% to get to the one that makes you the 15, 20.
Yeah.
If you're only going to do the 20%, you might only do 2 a year because they're so hard to find. So we want to pick up those other ones in between and keep trying to find the bigger ones.
100%. And let's be honest, I mean, 75K profit over a few months, 9 weeks to do a reno, it's hardly anything to turn your nose up, is it?
Absolutely.
No, absolutely.
And when you think about it, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of time, obviously prepping before the reno starts, and then, you've got 9 weeks of reno. But, apart from that, once it's sort of under a contract and through until settlement and that sort of thing, there's nothing really to do. You might have your lawnmower man going out and, obviously mowing the lawn and that sort of stuff. But it's not like your time is now completely free from that project. You're not needing to do anything, The real estate agent who's selling it for you is, dealing with the sales stuff, aren't they? So, I mean, 75K for, 10 to 12 weeks work is pretty good.
Yeah, especially if you can do a couple at a time.
Yeah. Well, just on that, I mean, you guys have done 18 deals now in 3 years. So do you guys have a bit of a goal as to how many you're doing at once? Is it sort of like we plan on doing this many for the year? Or this many per quarter? Like, how do you guys, how's that sort of, and your first year, did you do less and you sort of done more in the second and third year? How have you sort of ramped up to where you guys are at now?
The first year, so 2021 being we bought in January, we bought and sold 3 that year. Then we went to 5 in 2022, 6 in 2023, and so far we've got 3 at the moment. So 1 on the market, 1 in progress, and 1 becoming ours unconditionally ours next week. So ideally probably 3, sometimes 4, depending on where they're at in the pipeline, 1 coming to us, 1 on the market, and then 1 or 2 on the go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we like to roll them. It doesn't always work that way, but and then that keeps trades busy as well and keeps that momentum going.
Yeah, perfect. So how many deals are you going to do this year?
We've just been talking about that, haven't we?
Oh, look, probably 8 is probably
8, yeah.
We always go, well, we're going to try and do 10 or 12, but that's would just be insane. Like, it's a matter of how long you can keep going at that pace. You got to pick a pace that's sort of sustainable.
Having a balance as well. Like we're doing this so that we're not working for a boss, working ourselves into the ground, so we can have a lifestyle too. So keeping that focus too is important.
Fair enough. I think that's where I'm going wrong, is the not trying to work myself into the ground. But anyway. All right. So talk to me about the funding. I think you guys have said that you pretty much use money partners and everything like that for all of your deals. Yeah. Again, your story sounds so similar to mine, because obviously that's how I've done it as well. So, talk to me about how you, obviously were, introduced to money partners, and I know you've obviously built some relationships, and you're probably using the same money partners to help you fund, many of your deals and that sort of stuff. Now, talk to us about that experience for you and how that's grown.
It's definitely grown and changed. We laugh now, but our first investor discussion was prior to our first project, and just having a chat about what we were doing, and some people had asked us, and so we caught up and told them, and they more or less laughed, and we were like, oh God, that was really awkward, and we're friends, so it was no problem. But now, those people invest with us, and I guess the word spreads, then they're telling friends, business people we've got a relationship with through the business, like business professionals have said, well, look, I know someone that might be interested in investing. We also pay a spotter's fee. So if someone introduces an investor to us and they invest, then we pay them a return based on what that person invests the first time. So it's grown from the first very awkward conversation to now us just talking about what we do and people seeing what we do. You know, we've got our Facebook, so people following us and asking questions. It's definitely evolved over time, hasn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on. So take me back to the friends. So you guys had some close friends that you went to, you know, and said, hey, look, we're going to start flipping property and we want people to invest in our deals, and they laughed at you.
Yeah. And it was you go.
No, it was you. Yeah, so it was very awkward. It was at a barbecue. And it wasn't like we were trying to even pitch it to them. They were just like, what do you do? And we explained what it was and told them what the returns were. And, they basically just shut us down. And we still had the barbecue to go, so it was
right.
Good afternoon.
Were these close friends at the time?
Oh, close. They weren't rude or anything like that. But he was the real businessman, and we didn't realise how hard he was because he was pretty easygoing. And he just turned in this real hard businessman. It was like, whoa.
Right.
And then they came back and wanted to invest.
Came back, and I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? We got a vibe of no.
So did they come back to you after you had runs on the board, or did they come back to you?
Yeah. Okay. After the first one or two, I can't quite remember now. Yeah, it was pretty soon after. And yeah, I was definitely of the no, we've got a vibe of no. So, but we laugh about that now. We're still mates, still catch up.
Awesome, yeah, cool. And so, talk to me about some of the other money partner relationships that you've got. Like, I mean, with you guys with the projects you're doing, is it now the same sort of 2 or 3 money partners that just roll over, or do you just sort of have all? Yeah, how's it work for you?
Yeah, so we've probably got about 9, I guess, varying in amounts, and we have partners that just come in to the projects, but we also have partners that just park their money in our business, that get used to fill the gaps for, like, you know, you might have a $500,000 buy price and someone gives you 400 grand. You still got to finish the buy, you got to settle it, you got to renovate it. So we have other people just park their money and get an ongoing return. And yeah, it's just like you're always looking for more properties or more investors. It's one or the other. So you've got to make sure you keep the focus on both and keep putting it out there and talking to people. And
we had in early days, our mentor actually invested and went in a project with us, and so that was quite a buzz because it was like, he's actually going to give us money. So that was really good. And then in the networks we've built over time, just talking to people and seeing what we do, it's evolved. And then, like we said before, existing investors talking to friends who then ring and go, you know, I'm so-and-so's friend, I just want a bit more information. It's been really good.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. I've just got a question here, and this one, it literally gets brought up all the time, but it's obviously an important question, and that's when you talked about your profits, is that after capital gains tax? But you guys wouldn't be paying capital gains tax because obviously it's a business and you're buying your properties in a company. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're paying company tax just as any other business would. You're not paying the 48% capital gains tax because you're flipping it in the first year that everyone thinks that you are. Is that right? You're paying.
Yeah.
Is that right? I mean, obviously we're not
accountants right,
yet. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So just for anyone listening, you know, when you're a property flipper, you're not buying the properties in your own name and paying capital gains tax. You know, the tax is different. You know, obviously depending on the structure that you have. So for anyone listening, obviously speak to an accountant and get advice. But ideally you'd want to have a company or an entity that you're purchasing the properties in. So moving on from that one. So talk to me about your team and how that's evolved over time. So, you know, as a property flipper, I'm sure obviously you've got your tradespeople, but then there's also the accountant and the property solicitor and the settlement agent. Talk to me about like the relationships that you have built with these other professionals to help your business.
Yeah, so I guess the accountant we had before, I was a subcontractor before, so we had the accountant before, and he was just really good. You just knew he was shrewd and knew what he was doing, so we obviously just kept him going into what we were doing. And um, I don't know if he's an expert in that area, but he just seems to know a lot about everything in accounting.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was all across what we were trying to do. So solicitors we've chopped and changed a bit. How did we get to the solicitor?
That was an agent recommended. Was it an agent? Yeah, I think it was an agent recommended a solicitor. Um, and we've tried two different solicitors, but now we've just stuck with the ones we've got because it just works. They understand how we operate. We understand what they need. They're available to us, and they've got a good team. So, if someone's away, there's always someone else to pick things up. But also, I think they're probably doing well out of us as well.
But I think that accountant is key. I think if you
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
got an accountant and you're getting into it, you need the right accountant because that would be massive.
Yeah, 100%. Paying too much in tax, that's the last thing you want to be doing. So with your obviously your solicitor, they're drawing up like loan agreements with money partners and that sort of thing. Are they?
They did. So they drew up our loan agreement, but we use pretty much the same loan agreement and we repeat it, and they know that.
Yeah.
And we encourage our investors to get their solicitors to check it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works for us.
Yeah, cool. And is it your same solicitor that does your conveyancing as well, your settlement agent, or have you got a separate sort of settlement agent for that stuff for when you buy and
No,
sell?
same, all in the same office. Yeah, they've looked after it.
Yeah, so they got all levels. They can go from just doing the conveyancing, they have the conveyancing people, right through to the guy running the shows.
Partner.
Yeah, he's your real legal kind of guy.
If it gets to him,
yeah,
we hope not to deal with him.
Yeah, okay. And so, Andrew, with you being having a building background, so you do your own building and pest inspections?
basically, yeah. So I was pre-purchased, but I was only pre-purchased building inspector. I was never a pest inspector, but did a long time with a pestie, so I have a fair idea of what to look for. Yeah. So we do cash unconditional pretty often
because you're confident because
and
you've
we can
done
do that probably within a 10-minute walk around. So some houses you won't. You walk around and go, nah, this place needs more looking at. But yeah.
Can you get up on the roof or anything like that? Being that.
Take the torch.
Honestly, if you're getting it at the right price and you're below market value far enough, you look where you need to look. But a lot of times you've got time constraints and things like that to buy these properties and tenants that are a problem and that sort of thing. So the agent just wants you in and out and give me the offer, and the offer's going to be low. And if it works, you just go, look, we'll just take a gamble in that area because worst case is going to be this. You look at what you can, but generally, things have to happen quickly when it's a below market value property, we find.
Yeah, cool. Just another, so I don't think we answered Lucia's question. So the tax is removed from the profit. Yes, absolutely. I mean, with all business, and even if you ask somebody how much they earn, if they say they earn 100,000, they would be saying that's what they earn 100,000. That's before tax. It's no different with a business. If a business, if you say your profits, 75,000 or whatever it is, that's going to be, then you're obviously going to pay tax out of that. And it's going to be pretty hard to know what your tax is until you do your tax at tax time, right? Like
that's
it's hard to
go.
It's hard to say we made 100,000 from this deal and our tax was X amount because there's just too many factors. So that's why you have accounting software and an accountant and a bookkeeper who can do all of that for you. So are you guys, because you're doing so many flips and that you're using a bookkeeper or your accountant does that for you and software and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So yeah, the VA and the bookkeeper. So we have a bookkeeper here in Australia.
Yep.
Because we run a number of entities. We never have more than one property in one entity at a time, and we just rotate around through the entities. So yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Dot the I's and cross the T's.
Cool. And what about any other important team members that you would recommend that you need to have as a property flipper? What about agent relationships?
Definitely. Can't do it without them. And yeah, forming good relationships with agents, communicating with them, calling them, going to opens, talking to them, definitely is key. how
and
we've
so for
sourced
you,
all of our projects.
okay, so that was what I was going to say. So your agent, so do you have the one agent that sells all your properties, or nah? No, okay, that's interesting. So you, obviously, depending on the suburb, you've got different agent. That's whoever the area expert is, and that will the best agent in that area. Is that how you sort of select, or?
Well, no, because we're buying off agents. If they bring us that property off market, they'll get the
Gotcha.
first crack at selling it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. So that's what's in it for them. Is that so? Are they getting two sales in? Are they getting the sale by introducing it to you, and then they're getting the Okay. So it's definitely a win for them, and obviously a win for you. So win-win because they're getting two sales and you're getting a deal.
If it's an out of area agent, they're miles away. We won't use them to sell. But we're quite likely probably not going to do business with them again anyway, just the fact they're so far away. But if they're local, we'll give them the first chance to sell it.
And if they're bringing a property to us and wanting to work with us, then we want to at least give them the option to sell it at the other end. We generally, I can now see the questions actually.
We'll get through
interview agents. Yeah. But that's how we work it.
Yeah.
At the moment, give them first option.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Alrighty. And so just on the talking about agent, like obviously bringing you deals and stuff like that. So that's for you? That's why the agent relationships are so important, right? Because they're bringing you deals. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, they're a source of knowledge. So we'll, get their input and go, we're considering this. What do you think? And it enables us to do research across the multiple suburbs where we're working. Definitely very important.
Yeah. Okay. So they're helping you with maybe, what does the buyer want in the suburb? So they're helping you a little bit with the renovation ideas, but they're also helping you with, okay, this is what a renovated house is going to sell for in this suburb. They're giving you that. I mean, obviously you'd have RP data or price finding. You'd be doing that stuff yourself anyway. Yeah. But they're another person that you can rely on for that sort of information. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so I actually did have one question on the thing. How are you building your agent relationships? Like, how are you getting that out there? Are you just, just on the phone call, speaking to agents, just letting them know that you're property flippers and that, and telling them what you do? Is that generally how you sort of building those relationships, or?
We have a few ways. So definitely attending the open homes to meet them face to face and talk about what we do. Not monopolising them at the open home, obviously, if they're busy, but sometimes you'll turn up and there's no one around and they're up for a chat. And it's really good because you get some good information then, and they get to know us as well. We send them SMSs quite regularly, and we send them emails with links to our 4H Property Facebook page so they can see what we do. Because if they've not worked with us before, a lot of them say, well, it's hard for me to give you a sale price if I don't know what level of finish you offer. So we'll also invite them along to have a look at a reno that we've finished. So the first one we did, the way we got our second project was we invited a number of agents through that first home, and we showed them the before photos and then said, here's what we've done now. And the next day, from one of them had a call saying, I think I've got a property for you. Actually, that was the next two. And so that was how that came about. So then I started doing sort of at an open home for agents to come through. I'd invite them and separate appointments, and I'd have the TV on and the before photos playing in a slideshow, and they're in the home, it's all staged, and seeing what it is like now. And that really helped them to sort of see that point of difference when they hadn't seen the property beforehand, and built good relationships with them as well. So
yeah, awesome. So is that the main way that you guys get your deals, is mainly from agents, or do you get many from letters, or do you buy many just on market? Like, what's the mix for you guys?
Agents.
So that's
So we do the letterbox thing, but we've met with owners, but it just hasn't happened for whatever reason. So
we've done flyers as well.
Yep, flyers. We do a lot of letters. Probably 70% of our properties are off market. we bought a few on market.
Yeah.
But yeah, all through agents.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So agent relationships is your go-to. Talk to me about the actual renovation. Are you guys just doing the old, clean up the 3x1 or clean up the 4x2, or are you guys enhancing the property by adding the extra bedroom or bathroom to get that extra uplift?
Yeah, so we do not so much the bedroom. We haven't had that opportunity. We always would if it was there. The bathroom we've done a bit. We've added a number of bathrooms if we can get it in there. Um, we're not 100% sold on doing that because it definitely slows the process down. But an ensuite brings value, and if you can get it in cheaply, you just can't help yourself. You just want to get the ensuite in. So,
Sure.
Yeah, we definitely like doing the pencil ensuite, but yeah, as Andrew says, the time and the cost, sometimes it's not worthwhile, but yeah, people do like it.
So I guess to answer the question, it's a bit of both. It's a bit of just doing exactly what's there, but then depending where we are, what suburb, we will get that extra bathroom in.
Yeah, okay. And when you get the extra bathroom, is it always an ensuite off the master bedroom, or sometimes is it just a 3x2 or 4x2 without an actual ensuite?
Oh no, we've only done ensuites, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's also basically the design has to work. The design has to work where the bathroom can be essentially right next to the existing.
Exactly, yeah. If it doesn't, we don't do it.
Yeah, okay.
It's only we see that opportunity.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. Interesting. All right, let's just have a couple. There's a couple of questions coming in, so I just want to make sure that we've answered everything. We might have answered a few already, but so we've got Lynn. Are these properties purchased outright, or are they a seller JV option, etc.? So yeah, what's your typical go-to strategy? Have you done any seller JVs or anything like that?
No. So they're all bought outright, just in our companies.
Yep. Okay, cool. I had another question there from Mike. So he was sort of wondering, how many companies are you flipping in? Like, or so you've got multiple companies that you're doing that in. Is that the case?
Yeah. So we've got our main company, and then we've got, I think, 4 other entities, and the properties are bought in those 4 other entities.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And what's the reason for doing that for you guys personally?
Well, we did the first one in the company. In our main company, it was just from a accounting point of view, it was a nightmare. Okay, we could have used multiple bank accounts. We didn't. We did in the main company. That was the lesson from the first one.
Yeah.
There's liability issues around it. I know I've heard of people who've been taking a QCAT for us, which I don't know what it's called over there, for things that have, issues that you may not have even done. There may have been something that wasn't approved in the property or something like that, or what have you, and they've been taking a QCAT. So we just want to keep it separate from our main company for liability reasons.
Yep. Yeah. So just obviously, the whole risk thing is one of the big reasons. And then, so for you guys, from a finance and getting serviceability and that sort of stuff, have you got the other company sort of set up as a bucket company to help you with getting finance and that sort of stuff? Is that how you sort of?
No, we haven't really, apart from our own personal home, we haven't even tried to go down the finance path.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. So basically, so with yours, and so you're pretty much borrowing 100% from money partners, and then financing using your own cash to help with the purchase or the renovation. Is that how you're mainly doing it?
That's right. Yeah, we've got some of our own cash in, but then we've got, as I said, some other people who leave their money with the company, just to fill those gaps. And then we're looking for investors, and we've got more of one than the other. We're trying to guide them towards what we need at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What's Ben said? Do your profits get impacted by GST if you're buying and selling through a company?
No. Cosmetic renos don't attract GST.
Yeah. Correct, which is good. Obviously, development, yes. When you're building, structural renovations, yes, but cosmetic renos, no. But obviously, again, neither of us are accountants, so by all means, speak to your
get your own advice.
Get your own advice. Lorraine, would you buy and sell through the same agent, or you interview agents. So if you're, I suppose you've already answered that question and said that if they bring you, an agent brings you a deal, but if an agent didn't bring you a deal, how would you select your agent then?
We got the ones we know we'd want to work with. So, yeah, you know who the agents are in your area just through experience. So,
yeah, okay. I mean, obviously, you know, I always think some agents are good to buy through, and some agents are good to sell through, right? Is that ever a concern for you that you're selling through someone who's more of an order taker and not a negotiator?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you've got to factor that into your numbers and just know that that's how you're going to get the deal. Sometimes it's just that's how they'll get the deal to you. So you've got to offer that opportunity.
Yeah. Do you tell them to, when they get an offer, to go back and get more? And
depends if it works with our numbers, we'll try. But if you're getting good profit, you know, sometimes just, you know, what we can get it, we can sign it. The terms are good. Let's just get in and get out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, one question. There was this is a bit of a question that gets brought up a lot. And I think I had a question from someone in my group, actually. I think they were from Queensland, talking about, you know, the qualifications that you need as a, you know, as a renovator, and whether, you know, and whether you need a building, you know, essentially a registered builder, or, you know, different guidelines in Queensland. What is that something you guys have had to sort of, you know, really sort of discover? And because it's really grey in a lot of states as to what you can and can't do and that sort of stuff. Is that a rabbit hole you've sort of gone down? And yeah, is that something you can share in here?
So my understanding in Queensland is once the renovation goes over $11,000, you need we do builder's warranty in Queensland.
Yeah.
So you need to either be doing it as an owner builder, or you need to be doing it with builder's insurance through the QBCC.
Yeah, okay.
So even anyone who does up their own home over $11,000 should have an owner builder's or have the warranty on it. Okay. So 99.9% of people wouldn't.
99.9% of people wouldn't do that, though.
No. People get their house done up and things like that. I guarantee you they haven't got an owner builder on it.
Yeah, okay. And with the owner builder, I think in WA we can only have one every 7 years. Is it the same there?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, so it's pretty much a bit of a grey area everywhere. But obviously, once again, people, you know, get your own advice. But so okay, we won't dive too much further down that. Cool. What Simon said. The majority, all of the projects through agents. I've already answered that. Have you ever had, here's a good question, have you ever had trouble selling a property and it's taken a lot longer than you thought?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're doing it long enough, you're always going to have places that take longer to sell.
Yep.
Especially, at the end of the boom, at the end of 2022, we had one that, we just got caught out, which was always going to happen. And it just took forever to sell.
And when you're used to it selling like that at the first open, it's like, what is this? But yeah, generally prices are still holding firm up here. It just, some properties do take a bit longer to sell, but we've found we're still getting good numbers and around what we expect when we go to market.
Yeah, cool. Are you guys using a property analyst or any sort of data or anything like that to, help you back up, what you think the market's doing, where you are and that sort of stuff, or?
No,
not really. No. Just knowing the area and knowing the numbers, talking to the agents. That's pretty much our market analysts is the agents.
And the places we go to, we'll always follow up to find out what things sell for, because sometimes Price Finder's not updated straight away, and to understand, and that's why we also go to the open homes to talk to agents and find out who the buyers are and what people are looking for.
Cool. John has asked, how do you introduce yourself as a flipper? So I think he might be talking about, when you potentially letterbox drops, or obviously speaking to real estate agents when you're in a home open. Is that how you sort of introduce yourself, like that you're a property flipper, or how do you get that convo going?
Well, our letters say we're local builders looking for properties to renovate. When we're talking to agents, we're saying, we reno and flip houses. Yeah, so we do, I guess, yes, we do introduce ourselves as that. And then, you know, if you bring us a property, then we give you first option to sell it, provided they're working in the area where we're working. So
And of
that's
course,
important.
sorry, as it goes on and you get runs on the board, like we've got a Facebook page, you can show them that and you build credibility through that. So it just builds momentum as you go. So
Yeah.
it makes it a bit easier.
Definitely. Matt's asked, when looking at a feasibility, are you after a specific dollar profit return, or I suppose he's asking how you sort of work it out. I know you said minimum 75,000, but for you, what is there any other sort of indicators that you're using?
It's usually
no, that's pretty much it. The 10%, we really don't want to go under the 10%. Of course, if you're buying properties, not that we bought them up the 800,000-900,000, you want that profit margin to increase. If you're buying for the 5 in the 5 and you're selling 750, then that's sort of the number we're aiming for.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Tim, what has been the best and the worst profit you've made on a property?
So our best was about 155, and our worst was we lost a few $1,000s when we came out of the boom.
Yeah, okay. I've lost on one property, and it was exactly the same time. Yeah, and it was only a few. I basically sold just to break even, basically.
Yeah.
It was actually the same thing. It was end of 2022. It was a high end market. Well, it was more of a high end market, like a 1.3 sale price or something. So, the buyers just went missing when the interest rates after about 5 or 6 interest rates. So I felt your pain there, but all the good ones.
Yeah, that was when ours was too.
Yeah. But obviously, you're not always going to be a winner. I suppose that's just you just got to, when you have one of those failures, I suppose, as long as you just recover and get back up and get back on the horse and go again, it's all good. But that's why obviously you have feasibilities, and that's why you have all those contingencies and everything like that in there. So that way, if you have to essentially walk away and not make any profit, you're not going to lose. You're not going to lose thousands because you're really only just going to sort of lose potentially the profit margin that you were sort of hoping to make. Justine is in Queensland. I know that she's one of my students. Sorry, but late here. How are you choosing your suburbs? Do you keep within that suburb? So I know you already obviously said that you had about 5 postcodes at your work. But is there anything else that you can elaborate on that for Justine?
No, I think in your budget and as close to home as you can do it.
Yep. With you guys now, so something I've forgotten to ask, but you guys are obviously full-time, correct? Like you've left your day jobs, full-time, that's the business? Yep. Okay. How much time are you on site now? Like, is it still a daily thing, or does it not, does it not need to be?
Probably twice a week I'd go, or Hayley would go. Pre-reno, obviously getting it geared up, ready to go, we spend some time because you've got kitchens to sort out and that sort of thing. But once it's underway, twice, and if you're feeling like it, you go out a third time just to check and say good day.
Yeah.
But you might only be there for 20 minutes when you go.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You've got that trust with the team, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just for keeping our social media updated, wanting to get out there and give an update, because some of our investors aren't local as well. So we want them to see things are moving along and what it's like. And we'll post, little surveys or things like that they can get involved in.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. The same as me. Obviously, you go out there. I sort of go out once a week typically, and you take some photos and that sort of stuff. Make sure everything's happened. What's this, Lorraine? Well, okay. I think she's asking what return you pay your money partners.
It varies.
It varies.
Yeah.
Can you give a range?
Sort of 10 to 12%.
Oh wow. Yeah, right. I'm paying too much.
Per annum. Sorry, per annum.
Yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, that's a little bit less than I'm paying, but hey, if you can pay that, happy days. Okay, and then John's asked the question. It's probably going to get a bit complicated. We're not accountants, so we won't go into it, but we'll leave that one there. Look, what we'll do, guys, obviously it's been a great chat. I think you've been a wealth of knowledge for a lot of people listening. Learnings from the, talk to me about the learnings that you've had over the journey, and then also what would be your, what advice would you give to anyone sort of wanting to, start out and sort of follow what you've done? So we'll start with the learnings.
For me, number one is buying below market value. Don't think you're going to buy at retail and then manufacture the profit through the process, because it's going to end in tears. You've got to buy below market value.
I think that's very good advice. Yeah. It's almost impossible just to go and pay retail and make money on a profit unless it goes up crazy in price. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. Any what's the learning from you, Hayley?
The working on your strategy and your business. So having your systems and processes set up has definitely, like early on, we were, still learning and getting things set up, whereas now we've got things set up so we can communicate easily with agents. We've got processes for our renos, so we can absolutely work through a system. It's not just, and then we don't miss things, because early days it'd be like, oh God, if we bought that, quick run to Bunnings. So yeah, definitely. And being an area expert is key. If you don't know your numbers, then you don't know if you're buying under market value or not. So
yeah, cool. Can you just elaborate on the processes that you've set up to remind you? Are we talking like software that sort of helps you with that sort of stuff,
yeah.
or?
Yeah, so software, we can automate things, because early days we were just using Excel and it becomes quite clunky and hard to manage. So having software with automations where you can send communications to people and keep people updated, but also definitely for our renos, for our VA to be able to enter costs into budget tracking, so we've got all information readily updated, is definitely important for us to know where our costs are, how we're tracking. That sort of thing has definitely been helpful for us. And then for our VA training as well, having reference documents. So if someone leaves, you've got something to be able to get someone up and running quickly and easily.
Yeah, awesome. And what would be the advice that you'd give to anyone listening that's maybe in Queensland or anywhere else that's thinking about giving this a go?
My advice would be to get a good mentor.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes the world of difference.
It's awesome. You think having the technical knowledge is the be all and end all, and it's not. It's all what's up here and what holds you back. So yeah, talking to someone and having someone who's on that journey to help you through it, fantastic.
And do you think it's like the whole, a lot of people think that, I'm a good renovator or whatever, but you don't even need to be a good renovator to be a property flipper. Like, you don't have to be.
No.
Like, that's not what the job is. That's not what it is. It's about finding deals, really, and being able to crunch the numbers, and then, being a good project manager, having someone that can, obviously, being that person that can manage people and make sure that you get the end result. But you don't have to be on grand designs or any of the, it doesn't have to be a 6-star finish or anything like that.
You can pay people to get, the tradies and all that sort of thing, but being able to have the mindset to be able to make it happen and pull it together. And yes, Graham is a good mentor, Mike. He's got the runs on the board. He knows what he's doing. He's living and breathing it.
Mike is actually one of my students.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Awesome. Well, guys, I've really enjoyed having this chat with you guys, because you've done so many deals, and I get a lot of people say to me they think because I obviously share everything that I have done in the Facebook group that I'm the only person that has done what I've a large volume of deals. But it's good to speak to somebody, and obviously Michelle, one of my coaches, she's does sort of similar to what I do, like over here in Perth. But it's good to speak to someone who's in Brisbane, who's doing the same thing. Like you just you found a market that you're working in. You know what you're doing, and you're just doing volume. So, and Brisbane is now overtaken Melbourne as far as median house price. So behind Sydney and ACT, I think. So it doesn't have to be you don't have to be flipping the sort of $200,000-300,000 properties. You guys are buying properties for in Brisbane, which is now the third highest or third most expensive market in the country. You're buying properties for still buying properties for $500,000-600,000 in that area or that location. So so obviously it can be done anywhere. It's what you put in is what you get out of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah, loved having you guys on. Really appreciate it. I think, tonight's questions prove that everyone has been quite engaged and obviously really appreciated what you've had to say. So thank you very much. And I hope to stay in touch with you guys because me personally, I'd like to keep following your journey.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thanks
that'd be great.
us.
And likewise. Thanks everyone for your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.